Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing some Olitans knives. Ever since I discovered Olitans, when I picked up the G054, I've been so impressed by the brand, especially at the price point for what you're getting. I reviewed this one, I tested it, and I still recommend this one all the time. This one's a titanium frame lock, as you can see there. Very, very smooth action, very snappy action, comfortable. This blade is nice and thinly ground. It slices very, very well. It's in 9CR 18 MOV and they did a really good job with it. It held up very, very well. And once you dull this blade out, you can either sharpen it up or you can unscrew this, remove the blade, and it comes standard with 3 blades. You got sheep's foot and then a serrated sheep's foot. They're all in 9CR. They even offer a drop point tanto. They also offer replacement blades for $10. $10. This is 54 bucks. You get 3 different blades. Now you probably know why I recommend it. I was worried that this wouldn't be able to hold on to the blade too well. I tested it hard. Anything that I would do normal EDC stuff, it didn't wiggle on me. It didn't get loose. It held up very, very well. So this one kind of catapulted Olitans for me, and I wanted to see what else they had out there. Now I do wish the clip was reversible, but it is tip up right hand carry only. And I know this looks very, very similar to the Leatherman Garage built knife or whatever, but that knife was a very limited run knife and it's no longer available. So now you can buy it. And my buddy Max Level EDC, who has the original, said this version is a lot better. Then I bought the G031. This is the Crossbar lock version. The action, ridiculous. And this one is ground even thinner than that one. I think it's like 13 or 12 thousandths behind the edge. It slices so well. It's got a crown spine, 14C 20-10 steel, beautifully contoured scales that are very, very comfortable. And this one is 54 bucks. Then we moved on to the G053, another one that I absolutely love. Perfect for my medium-sized hands. You got a very aesthetically pleasing looking knife, a versatile drop point. This one is also in 14C 20-10. The only miss on this one is it's only tip up right hand carry and you have an ambidextrous crossbar lock. I definitely think they should have made it with a reversible clip, being that you have the ambidextrous lock and dual thumb studs. But for all my righties, this is a fantastic one. And I'm just gonna tell you now, I can recommend every single one of these. I'll try to leave links to each one of these individually down below and they will be time-stamped. Then we moved on to the premium version of the G053 and moved to the C045. I think this one's out of stock right now. I do wish these two would have been the same size. As you can see, this one's a much more compact knife. Now I can still get 4 fingers on there if I want, and it's a very easy one to carry. This one has a M390 blade and it has a crown spine. This one 14C, no crown spine. I just think the crown spine just adds that nice fancy look to it. The carbon fiber is flawless. It's a 12 carbon fiber. You have a mill tie pocket clip instead of the stainless on this one. Beautiful action, and it has this vibrant blue aluminum backspacer, and it also comes in a blacked out version, but I prefer the satin. We reviewed and tested this one, and this one blew me away. I think it's like 138 bucks if I remember correctly. But once again, it's only tip up right hand carry. And technically I bought the fixed blade, but we'll go with folders first. Another fantastic knife that is extremely, extremely affordable. This one is somewhat of a drop point tanto, a Japanese tanto. You have nice slicey blade, 14C 20-10. I think you can get it non-coated. Beautiful contouring on these G10 scales. It is very, very comfortable. And the closed silhouette, very, very streamlined. I guess the only time he wanted to give any lefty love was for this one, but no lefty love here either. Very well done. You have a front flipper and it works fantastic. I think this was the first knife they actually sent to me, and then they sent me this one, and that's it. I bought all the rest of them myself. This one's also in 14C. Got some good jimping back here. It's a medium-sized knife. This one only costs 38 bucks. If you like minimalist tantos, yeah, great choice here. Now, I think my least favorite, I love the blade shape on this one, but this is the T024, but that's the T024. I'll put the correction somewhere. It's probably close to that, but this is definitely the most affordable on this list at $36. It's a hair bigger than this one. It's a very compact knife. You have a spear point, D2 blade, full flight ground, titanium scales, stainless deep carry pocket clip. Once again, it's only for the righties. The action, really nice. Only reason I say I would probably recommend this one the least, unless you're just really wanting a titanium frame lock and you don't want to spend the extra money on this, or you're looking for a compact gents carry. Super lightweight. The reason I say this one would probably be the least recommended because it's in D2. I prefer stainlesses. All these are in 14C, and then the premium one's in M390, and these two have 9CR blades. This one's in D2. Don't love D2, especially I live in a high humid environment. And this titanium frame lock doesn't have a steel insert. I wouldn't expect it to at 36 bucks. So it had severe lock stick whenever I got it. I think it was because there was a little bit of lube on the lock face. It still has some every now and again. I think at that price point, if you're just wanting to experience a titanium frame lock, might not be a bad choice. You could always put some graphite on the tang of this blade, put a permanent marker, color the tang of the blade. That would help out. I have a carbonizer. I even carbonized this one and it still has a little bit of lock stick. That's the reason. And then they made a fixed blade, so I had to check it out. I was so impressed with all these. You get a Kydex sheath with a nice little ramp there, and it comes with a small Tech Lock style belt clip attachment. Nice positive click, no rattle to this. You can see we've used this one. You can still see some of the scuffs. We did baton with it. It's a little bigger than I usually carry for EDC, but I have carried this one as a beater. It comes in at 40 bucks. You got a slicey 9CR 18 MOV blade, good jimping up top. I do wish the handle was just a tad longer, and I wish this wasn't as deep, but it's pretty comfortable. This one right here has micarta with that milling, offers tons of grip. They also have G10 variants, lanyard hole in the back, full tank construction. For 40 bucks, I've recommended this one to a lot of people looking for either an EDC fixed blade that's a little bigger than what I usually carry, or a good camp knife. Any of these interest you, they will all be linked down below with timestamps. This video is not about these though. We got a new one that we haven't reviewed yet, and that is the Olitans G056. So just like the T024, this one, as you can see, it also has the swappable blade thing right here, just like on the T024. This time, they've done some upgrades. They've added a top swedge. I think it's nice and attractive. You can see the satin grind lines underneath there, and then if I catch it in the right light, I don't know if it's going to come across. You got a nice, beautiful raw stone wash finish over that satin grind. Hopefully you can see that there. It's nice and attractive, hides wear really well. The knife comes with this drop point, and these are in 14C 28N. Excellent upgrade. Love me some 14C. I like 14C a good bit more than 9CR. It holds an edge longer. It's a little bit tougher, and it gets ridiculously sharp. Easy to strap back also. So you get the drop point. The other two blades the 056 comes with. You get that same sheep's foot blade also in 14C. And then this one comes standard with the drop point Tonto. Instead of that serrated blade that I never used, it didn't really function that well as a serrated knife, but I like the drop point Tonto, and they're all in 14C. They haven't started offering the replacement blades yet for this. I'm hoping we'll see that later down the road. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more than $10, being that it's 14C, but I'm fine with that. Just in case you break one of these, you just swap it out. Or get a bunch of these, just like on the 024, get a bunch of extras, and you don't have to sharpen for a really long time. This is a great size for EDC at 7.8 inches overall. It has a 3.38 inch blade. Like I said earlier, a 14C 20N steel. You have some really good jimping up top that does a perfect job of gripping that thumb nicely. You can kind of creep up here because of the flat spot right there, but you don't have a dedicated forward choil like on the T024. And to swap out these blades, you can either get like a penny or a dime or a flathead, unscrew this, and you have this right here. Look at the blade. You got that spot right there. That's a contact point. And then you have this little tab that's also a contact point. You would be surprised on how incredibly strong this is. And you can see this little notch right there. As you can see right here, that little notch also aids in the strength of that too. Because you can see, flip it over this way, it's wider on this side. So that's giving it a lot of side to side strength. I have no wiggle whatsoever. And then of course, the only wiggle I have up and down is just a little bit of slide from the crossbar lock that is usually common. So just like on the T024, this one has a nice flat grind that comes down nice and thin to around 13 thousandths behind the edge. Plus you have thin blade stock at 0.091. So as long as this thing came sharp, it should be a slicing machine, and we're gonna find out. Just like the TO24, this one not only came sharp, it's got great edge geometry. The blade's thin, it's ground nice and thin, so it's going to be a performing machine. And I'm not certain about this, but I kind of feel like Kaiser is the OEM. If you look at the little pouch that it comes with. Regardless, it's slicing very, very well. And, you know, I found out quick that this system they got to hold the blade in here is extremely tough. Nothing that I did gave it any trouble. And, I mean, this is normal day-to-day EDC stuff for most people. I mean, of course, you know, if you're in a hard work environment or something like that, you know, you'd probably have to put it through more stress. But, you know, I think it could handle it. You know, testing the Zergos, and this wood's got knots all over it, so it was struggling, not because it wasn't sharp, but it was because of the piece of wood. But it was nice and comfortable. No hot spots that I noticed at all, and I'm putting a good bit of force into this wood just to make sure nothing's going to poke or prod me. Excellent job so far. Now, this rope is plagued with the stuff that we don't like, the glue. It's not terrible. It's got some here and there. And I don't think it did anything to the edge. I'm feeling the edge right now. There's no like damage to the edge or anything. And it continued to stay sharp throughout this test. Because you have that belly, you're going to be able to make these cuts the easiest on a flat cutting surface. And, you know, it was, and for the most part, it was very easy cutting. And, you know, just to show you that the blade's strong in the hold it's got on the little carriage thing that holds the blade. This requires a good bit of downward force, and if the blade wasn't tightly fitted onto the little piece it's on, or you know there was any kind of slop in it, you would feel it right away doing this kind of stuff because of how hard you're pushing down. You can use the tip to do the dry cuts, but you do see I am a little bit higher because the tip is a little bit higher. If you need to use it to trace out something, you can do it. But, you know, if not, it's probably easier just to use the belly. But as you see, it's blasting through everything I put in front of it. And this is with the factory edge. I can't wait to see how it is after I put my own edge on it. And I didn't do any formal testing with the other ones, but I have been using them, and they all perform really, really well. Just as I expected, fantastic slicer. And the cool thing, whenever I dull it, if I don't feel like sharpening, I'm going to slap on one of those other blades. So you essentially have 3 different knives that are all going to perform very, very well because I measured them. They're all nice and thin behind the edge. The ergos on this one are very nice because you have contouring on these G10 scales. That is the only thing on the TO24. They're just flat scales. So this one is a lot more comfortable, in my opinion, in hand. My medium-sized hands, I get a nice 4-finger grip. I'm nice and locked in. No matter which grip I hold it in, very, very comfortable. They did a really good job of knocking off this hard angle right here that you'll see sometimes from contouring, making it that much more comfortable in hand. Got a lanyard hole for the lanyard people out there. So for me, the ergos were an A+. Close it up. Take a look at the handle a little bit closer. You got smooth black G10 on this one. They also offered an orange G10, and you have a Torx T8 for your pivot. Unfortunately, they went with T6 for your body screws. I would have much preferred T8 throughout, so I wouldn't have to swap drivers if I wanted to take this one apart. Do like that they put a filler tab on this side so you don't have an open hole right there. It is tip up, deep carry, and like I said, left or right. They inset the clip into the frame and they countersunk those screws. You got the perfect amount of ramp, goes in and out of my pockets really, really easily, and it does a good job of hugging the side of the pants. And it's not overly weighty or anything, coming in at 3.67 ounces. They were able to keep that weight down because those inset stainless steel liners have been heavily pocketed and they don't go all the width of the scales. As you can see there, you have a partial G10 backspacer. Like I said earlier, this is a crossbar lock. It's nice and comfortable, and it's extremely, extremely smooth. The deployment on this one, fantastic. Very, very nice. It's not an adjustable crossbar lock, which I kind of wish it was, because I think I would maybe go up 1 notch if it was on the tension of the Mega Springs. They're not terrible or anything. I'm not worried about this thing coming open on me in my pocket, but I can shake it out. It's about Benchmade strong. Reverse flick easy. Can also use those crossbars, pull it back to deploy the knife. Very, very fidgety, very, very snappy, and nice and comfortable to deploy. Like I said a little while ago, the lockup on this one, I got no side to side, maybe some flex in my pivot. I do have a little bit of up and down slide. It's really common on a lot of crossbar locks. I don't feel like this is gonna disengage on me or anything. My wife probably hates when I do that, and my board hates it. But I think it's super solid, no issues whatsoever. I have no fear that this one's gonna come loose on me, and I had no fear that this blade's gonna come undone. If you are worried, you could always Loctite this with blue Loctite. Just know that you gotta take it apart if you want to get this blade off. At least they have those slots on both sides so you can put a flathead on both sides. I did like though how they had the Torx on this one rather than the flathead, even though you can do this in the field a lot easier. I usually keep Torx on me. I even got one on my key ring, so it's a little shorter than the Olitans T024. It's pretty much identical in length to the Olitans G031. And it's pretty much identical in length to the Remet WD107, and it's a hair bigger than the Volsteed Raccoon. And lastly, it's a little smaller than the Kershaw Iridium, and it's just about identical in length to the Kaiser Sheepdog. Now, being that no knife's perfect, now for my nitpicks and complaints. My biggest complaint, I think, is the sharpening choil. You can see right here that it starts to thicken up right behind that edge. It's an easy one to fix, but it would have been great to have that done from factory. You could kind of see it already starting to flare a little bit on this side. Not the end of the world, especially when you get 3 different blades. Personally, I would have rather them do this treatment to this version with the Framelock. I just like a Framelock a little better. But that said, this one is super solid. This one's a little bit more comfortable. It's going to be a lighter knife. It's going to be a little bit easier to maneuver this knife, and it still has fantastic action. Like I said, I would love to see that sharpening choil. Maybe make this an adjustable crossbar lock. That way, if somebody did want to increase the tension or decrease, they could. It's always nice to have options. But hands down, I prefer the 14C over the 9CR. I like the added swedge. It makes it look a little bit classier, nicer. And all in all, I think it's a fantastic knife. They remembered to make it a reversible clip. So this is a completely ambidextrous knife. And if those things I talked about weren't deal breakers for you, then of course I can recommend this one. It's going to be a little bit more expensive being that you have the 14C, the added swedge, and a crossbar lock. This one comes in at $72. Do I think that's out of line? For essentially 3 14C 28-inch knives, especially with the crossbar lock? Absolutely not. Not to mention their ground to perform. Another absolute winner for Olitans. I have not been let down yet. 2 great knives and one of my most recommended knives to date. This one is now included in that. I've already started recommending this one to some of my buddies. It's a great knife with a great budget steel, super great ergos, great action. There's a lot to love with this one as well. So if you're interested in this one or any of the ones I showed today, they will all be linked down below in the description. They will be an affiliate link, so if you're already purchasing it, it doesn't cost you anything extra. You want to use my links, I can't thank you enough. If not, no sweat at all. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every one of y'all is having a fantastic, fantastic day. Remember, keep your blade sharp or slap on a new one, and don't forget to smile more.